Welcome to Hot Takes with Cheddar Jazz. There's no hand holding me to effects on emotion. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification if you haven't already. I'm thinking about renaming this the People's Podcast because I really do this for the people. Shout out to all our sponsors. Scott Vicknair. Call right now for a free consultation, 504-500-1111. Shout out to Blue Moon, John Deere, 4D Energy, Standard Mortgage. Got so much money, got to pay another brother just accounting for me. But yeah, so that's the end of the sponsors. You know, we don't go 30 minutes talking about sponsors, but neither here nor there. So a lot of news has been going around circling the Giannis Antetokounmpo potential trade, Ja Morant, Domantas Sabonis, who else out there? Some people even starting to bring up Alfred Sengun, Kevin Durant, of course, Zion. Right now, before I get into this show, this is contingent upon the Pelicans keeping Zion Williamson. This is in the event that they keep him. If they trade him, I don't know how much these deals really move the needle considering what we've seen this season and past off seasons. I'm going to start off with Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? In my opinion, Giannis Antetokounmpo is not an intelligent acquisition for the Pelicans, given their unwillingness in the past to pay the luxury tax. The assets you would have to give up being player assets just to get to his salary. Mind you, Antetokounmpo is making $54 million next year. $54 million of them things, and that's the estimate. So it could be a little high, it could be a little low, but that's a lot of money. That's more money than I got, right? It's a lot of money. So you would struggle to fill out the rest of the roster. Let's just say you're giving up Zion, right? Just hypothetically. Let's say you're giving up Zion and you're giving up, let's say, Herb and Jordan Hawkins and the Bucks picks. Let's just say that, right? Cool. All right. Now you have very little salary cap room to acquire talent and fill out the rest of the roster without going into luxury tax, which ownership has repeatedly shown that they aren't necessarily willing to do. On top of that, you still have Willie Green. On top of that, you see Giannis consistently being eliminated in the Eastern Conference, and with some of those teams being pretty good, some of those Bucks teams being pretty good. Now, I'm one of those people who think that Giannis's one ring was a fluke because Kyrie got hurt, Spencer Dinwiddie got hurt, James Harden got hurt. Everybody got hurt in damn near the same series versus the Bucks. The Bucks were on their way to being down 3-0. They were down like 20 points when Kyrie got hurt in that third game. So I count that ring as a fluke, but whatever, right? The point is he isn't succeeding in the Eastern Conference. How would he thrive in the West as the number one option on a championship contending team? I just don't see it being a reasonable ask of him. Now, what I do think, the Pelicans have a lot of avenues to be the facilitating team, being the third team in a potential Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, right? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, if they want to send Giannis to Houston to play with the Rockets, right? And let's say Houston is looking to, I don't know, maybe they send Jalen Green to the Pelicans, or they send, Sengun to the Pelicans, hypothetically. It's all hypothetical. Or you send a bunch of the young guys, Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith, to the Pelicans. In exchange, the Bucks get maybe a CJ McCollum and those Bucks picks. Another wild card that I have in mind, if the Pelicans are acting as a facilitator and the Bucks are looking at tanking, because you only trade for your own picks if you want to tank, in my opinion, right? If they're looking at tanking, would they be willing to take back DeJounte Murray's contract? DeJounte Murray's recovery timeline is probably going to be on the same timeline as Damian Lillard. So winning doesn't matter to them whatsoever. Like, they want to be as bad as possible. So why wouldn't you just take back DeJounte Murray? You're getting your own picks back. Just take back DeJounte to guarantee you'll be as bad as possible. That's something I've been thinking about. I think the Bucks could be talked into that, because you're going to get a good return for Giannis, but if your goal is to get back your own picks, you have to deal with the Pelicans. And with the Pelicans, they have no incentive to tank next year, because if they tank, they own the Bucks pick. So if the Pelicans and the Bucks are bad next year, you're kind of forfeiting the Bucks pick more or less, because it's a swap. It's not an additional pick. So if the Pelicans end the season and they're the number 2 team in the lottery and the Bucks are number 3, you pretty much just wasted the Bucks pick. So the Pelicans need to be good next year. So that's something else to keep in mind. Now, another person that's been spoken about a lot is Domantas Sabonis. I'm not a fan of Domantas Sabonis in high pressure situations, i.e. the playoffs, as we've seen. Domantas Sabonis is making $40 million next year, which isn't bad. You can get to about $40 million with CJ and probably Herb. But I think you're more of a regular season team in that instance. Like, I mean, fuck, you got to get to the playoffs to be good in the playoffs. And you're asking some Domantas to be maybe your second best or third best player, depending upon how the draft plays out. The reason why Domantas Sabonis is still on the board for me is because of his salary cap, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Next year, he'll be making 43.6. Okay, so now he's right on the edge. Now he's right on the edge for me. So that's CJ and Herb Jones, right? So I think the Pelicans can only afford to take back a salary of maybe between 40, maybe 43, 45 million max. And I say that because you still got to fill out the rest of the roster. Pelicans never been a free agent destination. The Pelicans aren't going to play the tax. So you have to keep this in mind when you're conducting a trade with the Pelicans. If your goal is to be good next year, if your goal is to not be in the lottery next year. So that's something to keep in mind. For me, I would be looking at different iterations of CJ, Hawkins, Jose, and Herb Jones. Kelly Olynyk, he's kind of there if you need to. But what I would do, and we're going to get to this guy, Ja Morant. It's a perfect time to introduce Ja Morant to the conversation, right? Ja Morant, his value around the league is probably as low as it's ever going to get, or if it's been his entire career. Only making about $39 million, if I'm not mistaken, next year. Perfect candidate. Salary cap wise, you could just put CJ, Jose, and Hawkins together, a couple picks, you go get Ja Morant, and you still have Herb Jones and Kelly Olynyk to act as a facilitator, salary wise, in the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade sweepstakes. So if it's me, there's a world where the Pelicans could realistically get a Ja Morant and still have enough salary, enough powder dry. Not that other kind of powder. It's not a powder bass, not a bag of dope. But they still have enough powder dry salary-wise to go act as a third-team facilitator in the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. So again, if Giannis goes to the Bucks, maybe the Pelicans could get a Reed Shepherd and a Jabari Smith. Something like that. This is all hypothetical. But the money matters the most. Again, the Pelicans have about 2 mid-level contracts. If you combine Hawkins and Jose together, that's not about $9 million. But now you're talking about 2 players, combining for that salary. But the Pelicans do have, and you still got Bruce Brown as a sign and trade option. I forgot about Bruce Brown. Still got Bruce Brown as a sign and trade option. So they have some avenues to wheel and deal this offseason. But so much of this is contingent upon keeping Zion. You've seen Giannis in the East as the best player. You're not going to tell me Giannis trade. I'm assuming CJ is still gone. Giannis trade and let's just say CJ. CJ and Messi is a formidable starting unit in the West. Like, you're not really going to convince me of that. Like, I think they'll make the playoffs, but then or the play in rather. They'll probably make the play in. But even then, it's like, Giannis and Dame wasn't good enough to really do anything, or they haven't been. Giannis and Drew, that second season, didn't really do anything with Chris Middleton. So I think Giannis, you kind of Giannis, a Ja Morant, Sabonis, guys like that, they need a lot of help in filling out the rest of the roster. And their salary, Giannis' salary cap in particular, Sabonis to a lesser degree, makes it very difficult to fill out the rest of the roster and give them the help they'll need. That's why this is all contingent upon keeping Zion, in my honest opinion, because I view it as I'm not just trading Zion. Like, you do, I mean, if you're tired of the Zion shit, I totally get it. And you ain't gonna get no argument from me there, really. But I'm not just trading Zion, I'm trading Zion. Trey Murphy, I ain't a big Herb Jones fan, like, talking about it, but Herb Jones, like, it's a total teardown. I totally have to rebuild this team from scratch. That way I don't accelerate my timeline. It doesn't make any sense trading Zion for Giannis. Giannis is 30. It doesn't make any sense trading Zion for Sabonis. Sabonis is going to be 29 next season. Also, Herb Jones is going to be like 20. I think he's going to be 27 to start next season, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's going to be 27. But also, like, even Ja Morant's played less games than Zion. You've seen teams with Zion. You've seen a team with Domantas as the best player. You've seen a team with Ja as the best player. You've seen a team with Giannis as the best player all season. So these guys need a Robin or a Batman to their Robin. You know what I'm saying? But that's something interesting to think about, man. I'm telling you, there's a world where the Pelicans target Ja Morant for that $39-40 million. Don't forget, Joe Dumars is the same guy that went after Allen Iverson. Of course, that didn't work out with the Detroit Pistons, but he's the same person that went after Allen Iverson. A lot of people, we all thought Ja was on the Allen Iverson trajectory, and the injuries kind of messed that up, and some off the court issues, of course. But hey, if you want to turn this into the bad boy Pistons, it don't get no worse right now than Ja and Zion. Like you on the right foot. You headed in the right direction. If you want this to just be, just the new jail trailblazers mixed with the Pistons. Like, hey, if you want this to be one big total player reclamation project, go get Ja Morant. You got the Bucks picks. And that 27 Bucks pick is attractive as well because if it lands in the top 4, the Pelicans keep that pick and their own pick. So it's a lot. Griff set them up nicely. He set them up nicely with those Bucks picks. But now it's not the time to sit on your hands. If Ja Morant is available, you have to go get him. You have to go get him. If Giannis is traded, you have to act as the third team. Like the Bucks got to do business with you. So you have to act as the third team and bring back some depth. Maybe you bring back a full-time starting center. It depends. Even with Giannis, I don't even think Giannis would want to come to such a small market that has no chance of competing. Again, he's 30 years old. He got his money. He wants to go win. You know what I'm saying? He's a winner. He's a glory guy. So he's going to probably want to go to a larger market like the Nets or something like that, probably, right? Because if the Nets have a free agent market, they got capped, so they can sign people and build a good roster around Giannis. Now, the issue with that is if you're Giannis and you want to go to the Nets don't really have much to offer the Pelicans, like whatsoever. So that is a hiccup you may run into. So it's going to be real interesting going into the offseason. We're going to talk about it some more tomorrow on the live show. Y'all be sure to tap in. I'm Chad Chaz. I'm out. Y'all be safe, be smooth. Always bet on black.